Oh, hey, man. Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Stacked Card on Big Picture Premium, a show born mainly out of my annoyance and Trey's annoyance as we look around at the state of the LFF and we see that some people need help, and this isn't even like you're sick, you need help kind of thing. It's
Some of them do.
some for
They
sure.
have an obsession with cock, and
Some are cock crazy. We get it. Yeah. The Will Rambo Apocalypse brought this up, and it's an extraordinarily good point. So the TVA, which I technically founded mainly because I was the guy willing to talk the most. That's how the founding happened. We were all players that played around the same skill level when we started because we were all playing against each other. That's why we're all so similar. That's why we all win. Things like that. And it's become clear that a lot of communities around the LFF just don't have that. Like, to think of it in Mop Boy and BTE entrance, iron sharpens iron. Playing against good players makes you better. Realistically, I do not get as good as I am without playing against the Chris Pates, the Candyman Dans, the Treys, the Simple Chucks, the Zacks. Like, while I would appreciate easy wins every now and then, like, you get lazy if everything's easy, and that's why the Anges, sure, the Anges.
It's easier to learn from your mistakes and losses than it is wins. You can't pick out your mistakes if you're winning all the time.
Absolutely. Like, and the reason why I bring up Dan, before I won my CAC, yes, brag. I had a match against Dan where, simple thing, and I bring this up to him, and I tell him, like, this lesson won me my CAC. I think I was playing Slime Girl at the time, and instead of passing and burying a stop, I chose to pass and bury a finish, and I didn't win the turn roll, but I drew on my 8. So I drew the card that I would have had on a losing turn roll, which would have stopped the finish that killed me. And so from then on, I always became like, I'm going to make sure I get that card back first before I go in for the kill, just in case, just so I don't die. When I have a draw gimmick, it's different if you don't. But when you can get a card back, no matter
A lot
what,
of times it's better that way too. I mean, you can bump and then
yeah, exactly.
and then you got your stop instead of a finish that you don't have the turn roll to throw.
Yeah, he rolled a 10, I rolled an 8, but I was Slime Girl, so I got that card. And if I had been able to stop, I would have had a +1 to the turn roll the next turn. You see how that goes. And it's little things you get from playing good players that you wouldn't from anywhere else. And as I've noticed more things, like, we have less of that. And while there are new communities out there, some of them don't have the exposure in playing online as much against those good players, or just playing, or them around each other playing as much. And we thought that this show would help them out a lot. So a little bit about ourselves first. I started playing in late 2002. My first online tournament was I won with Jay White, in my only count-out victory ever against John Polverito in the New York in New York Rules final. Schmidt was there. Schmidt was surprised me winning, which, going into it, I don't blame him. 2002, 2022. All right, yeah. Yes, I started playing before everybody. I came up with this game. It was before Raw Deal was a thing. 2022, yeah. And after that, won the next year's Rising Star tournament with Amazing Red. So take that with a grain of salt. And then I started a faction called the Constellation. Added a bunch of buddies, and we've made at minimum top 4 in faction wars every year. And then I had the real beaters, where I drafted a bunch of people that I had not played with before, other than Paul. And Paul was more of like a soft warm up for faction wars, because I wanted to see how he would do at a book match environment. And shockingly, if you know Paul, he did great. Although he was also playing Papa Twist, so take that with a grain of salt too. And we ended up winning that. And Trey, a little bit about yourself.
I was Yaz's first overall pick in the Olympics. I won season 11 of Online League. Was the sovereign of the squared circle.
Right, yeah.
And I have it. I don't have it within arm's reach, my trophy.
Oh, the
but
yeah.
I did tie the record for triad title defenses.
Yeah. One of the best triad champions ever. Yes, there it is. The hilarious the hilarious trophy that he got that I gave him for winning the Starmaker Battle Royal for a tri-state title shot. Trey somehow talked himself into the match, won, and immediately gave it to Ryan Pierce. And what was proceeded to be one of the funniest nights of my life, as I saw Simon, who I adore, really like Simon Daphne, and his friends lost their fucking minds for the next little bit. And I was so happy about this turn of events that I went to Party City and I got Trey that trophy, which he's had ever since, and used it against Simon ever since, planning down. Oh my god. Yeah. But the Trey is one of the best players I know. He is one of a very short list of people that I'll be like, hey, can I send this to you? You just double check it. And normally it's like one to two cards, and you're like, all right, that makes sense, and then change things. And he does the same thing to me. He'll send me pictures of deck lists and be like, hey, this is what I got for this, and we'll talk over it. And same thing. He knows what he's doing in book matches for sure. And what I wanted to go into first was what goes into a booked match. So say you have played enough to where an LFF or a regional GM has said, you get a title shot, which in this game, that's most of what we play for, right? It's bragging rights. It's you want that title. And what do you do next? So you get your choice of competitor, or say, hey, you have to play as this. You look at the stats. You look at your opponent's gimmick, or your gimmick and his, and see how they interact. And then you look at their finishes. And from that, then on, you start building your deck. Now, I have some examples. I have some past examples with that I've done, and then we have an example from a respectfully losing deck list sent in by our good friend the Flame Fighter, and I was like, hey, it's like, in the future, we want this. If you want like help, or be like, hey, how would you tweak this deck? You can send it to us, and we will do it. But he publicly commented on it and said, hey, would you look at this? And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. We could see what went wrong, what could have been done, and to give yourself a better shot in that match. Let's see. Will you pull up? And first of all, I wanted to give y'all a free look at the deck list, the deck of the year. This was my Cookies Fortune submission. This was Mimic, And then I ran Roaring at the Dark with Bug the Cub because I had a Night Terror in my pod, so I was not willing to risk it. And then after that, we have some. I'm a big fan of having a draw from the bottom on your strongest, so Mimic Strikes are his strongest. Bombada, I won't give up your sauce quite yet. I won't. I will. Although at this point, to make them listen, I would have to grab them from the back of the neck and yell into them.
But so that's a difference that we have. I was going to say, I know some people like playing it on your strongest, your most protected, so you have a higher likelihood of hitting it. I like playing it on my strongest stop, so I'm not losing as much by losing the stop. So if I was Drew, I would play it on my 3.
You would play it. Okay. See, I do that on my 19 through 21, typically for a flip stop. For the draw from the bottom, I feel like I'm going to play that aggressively, and typically that's in case of someone throwing candy from the crowd because they do not have a stop. Yep. And if I know they don't have a stop for a strike, and against Mimic, it's going to be the strike majority of the time. It's like, well, then you're probably not going to be able to stop this lead strike. So I play that to get that, and they're like, well, shit, okay, get it back, and then hit them with the strike the next turn. And I also have Impact Drop just because it's another draw from the bottom on my second strongest. And then Friends and Rivals, because it's like, if I'm playing Friends and Rivals, it's always going to be as a stop for real because I'm so weak on grapples. Then Apocalypse, just because it's a get out of jail free card, Rejected just for stips. Big Body Block, because I don't want them to clear my stuff with Apocalypse because I played Chris Pate too many damn times. Elbow Shot for Recursion. Slash, which is a fake card. Very hard to get. They should reprint them immediately.
Maybe draw 2 it'll come out.
Maybe. Draw a card or top deck a card. Top deck a strike. Yeah, so
which is what you're pushing in Mimic.
Which is what I'm pushing on Mimic. And then for a 9, I just did a Restoration Handshake. If it hits, awesome. Breakout, I get to shuffle stuff in. Like, it's just a utility card. Sick. 10, some people do different. Because of the increase in throws candy from the crowd and berry stops, I've started running a searcher on my strongest to search out my finish. So that's Thunderous Punch right there. 11, I have Japanese Arm Drag. 12, hold it right there. Great line because I straight up do not want to get hit with a DDT or a 7 seals and immediately dying. Alien Invasion on my 8. And that is because even if it's dead, which you already heard, I had a Night Terror in my pod, it's still a super protected strike that can top deck any card. So that's just a skill card that I put in there because it's like it's a follow-up strike that can top deck anything. Sounds great. Sheep, kneel before my big American Sledgehammer. I had a Najimai in my pod, so if I wanted to just play a follow-up grapple that says, hey, your strike doesn't go back to your hand, that's good. And then All-American Sheep Army, just because Tech 10. Steel City, which we've gone back and forth on this before, whether to do Steel City Showdown or Ripcord Lariat. And I
like the Steel City on my most protected, so I can put anything back on the most protected. And then your 13 and 16 are matching. And that's a big thing I like doing is having my 13, 16, 22 to all do the same thing in this scenario. So if they do stop it with a 6, you've got another response to it that they have to use a big stop for them.
Right. And I've definitely turned more to Trey's idea because I do like the ability to be able to get anything back with my strongest card. 17, I had Spinebreaker because with Cookie's Fortune Sips, Ring of Fire is always a possibility, so you want some ability to get something back straight to hand. And Final Dungeon Lock, just an ability to clear a setup piece, or to, if they aggressively stop something, I can stop that. Then Dragon Gate Crash, Sealed Away, and then my 21 on my, this is what we were talking about, hey, they're probably not throwing strikes in the Mimic. I run Beatdown in the corner here, just in case they top deck something and I need to flip it.
And so that's the reason I play those on my 13th or 15th. So if they're dead, they still do something.
Yeah. Let's see.
I feel like I can always make the 19 through 21 live by throwing a finish that they have to stop. Or if they don't want to, then I had a finish.
Right. Let's see. Catch twist kick. I love this card in Mimic. It's so damn good. That's the search my deck for three strikes. So I can go get Alien Invasion, a finish, or a stop, or anything that I need. Love this card. Avalanche Driver. I have probably stopped running Lariats and started running Avalanche Driver and that line. For whatever reason, I just love this line because it's bury 3 and then get the top and bottom. So you're guaranteed getting whatever card you want. And I love that over a Lariat because if you shuffle 2 in with a Lariat, you might not get the card you want because you draw 2 and it could be any 2. And in early mid game, I would rather have the ability to get whatever card I want. 24 Bulldog Choke. I'm Power 5 and Grapple 7. The same thing. I don't want to get DDT'd. and that in the late game I can go hold it right there in the Bulldog Choke, and they had better have their 2 or their 5 because that's the only way they're stopping it unless they want to aggressively taunting it back suplex. 25 boss beats. Like I said, there was a Najimai. I'm not messing with it. 26 sweeping slams. So the enemy of Mimic is Sharpshooter and things with Sharpshooter effect. Increasing your flat finish roll against Mimic is one of the easiest ways to kill him. Or as Trey does, Trey just plays characters with 6 finishes that don't give any bonuses to stats. It's very annoying. I hate it so much. His King of New York deck would probably be a focus in a later episode if he's willing to give up the sauce.
Oh, I'm giving up the sauce. I'm good with it.
Okay. Yeah, and then 27, but Sweeping Slam, that's for if anybody tried to get a little freaky. And then I almost caught somebody in my pod with it because they ran the microphone finish, but luckily they had another microphone in play. It was this close to being a live stop finish. Yep, and then just all generic finishes, all good. That copies from discard, that copies from in play, and that copies from their hand and discard. And John Clace, thank you for your deck list. Yay. All right. And after... And that's basically like my basic Mimic deck, and we've talked about it. It's like the craze that happened with people trying to buy like a $200 Mimic. It's just like, and Trey said it's like people will buy this Mimic, but they will not be able to play it like Drew. And it's like, and I haven't seen anybody play it like me, but I want people to. Like, I foiled Mimic. I bought Mimic because I think he's fun, and because all of my friends are assholes, and they play characters with these gigantic finishes, or like, there was a stretch of like Zach playing Liger and stuff like that, and like like Uncle Awesome. So it's like, fuck you. Like, I'm not gonna let you sit there and get all your stat increases for fun. And that's why Vacation Commissioner exists too. Let's see. After that, let's see. In booked matches like that, I've had a couple Underworld defenses. I had against John Polverino and Matt Barone. Which ironically, in all of those matches, I have not hit my strike for the finisher. It's been the grapple, and then I hit the sub on Barone. I was able to scare Polverino with blanking his gimmick on Pulverizer enough to where he used a 13 aggressively, and it left my grapple much more open. So I was able to sneak that one in. Let's see. Let's go into the Tim White versus Simon Davner for the Deep Six title. That is 0-win champion as the challenger. Turn roll is at least 3 less than your opponent's turn roll. Discard 1 card they have in play. Sucks deep. Yes, that's true. Thank you for the compliment, Horace. I honestly, since I started playing, I had never seen you play Mimic. I hadn't seen anyone play Mimic ever, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's really fun. And then, or like, when my friends started saying Mimic was broken, I had Sean Loeb like beating down. For those who don't know, Sean Loeb's like one of his best friends, Chris Sawyer, made Mimic, is Mimic, and he made it to counter the collector because he increases his stats, and so does Mimic now. And he he has a good success rate even with collector, and that's why when my friend started saying, "Oh, Mimic's broken," like Sean Loeb would just like burst into the room and say, "No, the fuck he isn't." He's got a couple tricks, but that's it. All right, but champion, 0-win champion. Discard a card they have in play if the turn roll is at least 3 less. You have kick to the chest, which is 5 to a 7, 7 to an 8. Look at the hand, discard a stop or finish. Not a terrible finish in 6-stop.
Yep.
And then finish grapple, the rage quit, +3 to power, +3 to the 5, +1 to the 8, +2 to the 6. If you rolled power for your turn roll, double these bonuses.
I tried to get y'all to run Faction Wars on Mark Jeff Bravo all those times.
He did try to get to run the rage quit. I didn't own a copy, and neither did Swaggy. So that's that we ended up running 8 different finishers the entire. We never repeated finishers, other than if it was one of Bravo's. But Bravo can pick 2 different finishers from all the different competitors, and we never repeated finishers, even Circle of the Sun. And then Spare Some Change, which is the bane of my fucking existence because it is an if stopped spotlight. And I hate this card so much. It is a vampire seeing sun bleached garlic. Like, ew. Fucking ew. If stopped, choose 2 cards in your discard pile, add 1 to your hand, and bury the other. Honestly decent if stopped effect. And then when this card is in your discard pile and you roll power for your turn roll, you may put this card on top of your deck. No stats because it's a pretty triggerable spotlight with a good if stopped effect, but it is one of the most finishes. I like to throw finishes that didn't cause a finish just to get stat bonuses. Oh, that makes sense. That doesn't shock me. Knowing how you play, Brimer, that Mimic sounds like a competitor that you could make work very well. Let's see. So 0-win champion, like the rage quit, it's a pretty good finish, pretty good bonuses. Kicked in the chest, pretty good effect for 6-stop, and finish sub. Fucking you, especially in the main event where it's very hard to kill somebody.
You're basically throwing it as an 8-pack.
Yeah, you're yes, you're Barry Rising Sun, Brock. I'm shocked it didn't win.
That's a choice for Rising Sun.
Yeah, it certainly was one of the games I watched last night. It was Barry Rising Sun was something decent. Not really. I
missed it while I was at work.
I honestly, I think the discard, if he was running just like flat moonsault, tiger driver, stuff like that I could deal with. But like playing like an 11 to make your opponent bury a card in hand, I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing, Brock? All right, and this is the full deck list from Tim. So we have Tim White, 0-win champ, backed by the rack, in a 6-stop title match versus Simon Davner as Shadow Phoenix. And Shadow Phoenix, for those unaware, power 10, tech 5, agility 9, strike 6, sub 8, grapple 7. When your opponent's turn roll is grapple, your turn roll is +2. So anytime he rolls grapple, you better hope that Simon had rolled low. And his grapple is a 10. So honestly, not the worst matchup for Tim here. Because if you roll 10, that guy had to roll at least an 8 for that gimmick to matter.
There's numero uno then. in this matchup.
Essentially, yeah, it turns into numero uno for this case especially. And Tim had back by the rack number 1. So Tim tells me that Simon Dabner, as he always does, brings up the fact that he's going to run DQ cards. And this is not a bluff, because Simon Dabner fucking does it in everything. It does, even if it's not finishes, he runs blast through the light tubes, he'll run a chair shot, he'll run whatever. The entrance that you should have ran in this case is Crime Doesn't Pay. Not only because it would blank any
Two
of those
his stock finishes.
It would blank DQ finishes, and he has 2 stock finishes. One of his strikes and his sub. It would blank those 2 finishes. And then he ran.
I'm guessing he didn't want to do it because his own sub, but I would have just swapped out my sub.
Yeah, I would have played either sharpshooter or like downriver log Carter clutch, which I in my Dosmodius 6-top deck that Trey hates and never wants to play again, and likely never will unless we play at Grand Gathering. I run Popa Press Lamb because it's 2 10s, and that would be what I would. That's the finish I would have ran. I would have ran. We can just go ahead and edit out like this. Crime Pay. Let's see. Leapfrog, 9 to the 10, perfectly fine. It's 6-top, doesn't matter. Let's see. Chain Wrestling, Test of Strength. Nah, the Test of Strength, like, I don't care. Like, it's on your 5 to a 6. I would have either ran a grapple for position. No, that's 2.
I would have run grapple for position. So
that's
on
on
11.
It would,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Are we talking about I would have played
3
grapple position over chain wrestling. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so you would have rather had the 11.
I would rather had the 11 because of his gimmick.
That's true, yeah, because you could have had an 11. Let's see. So it would have had grapple. Yeah, Test of Strength. I mean, 5 to a 6. Your other option is 6 to a 7 and clutch onto opponent. So I would have tried to find another 3.
I would have ran a draw.
Or like a draw 1 or something.
I would have drawn on my low there. Is what I would have done.
Old school Florida aggro,
but like hog tie. So when you're on
yes,
the side,
the draw card whenever they roll a certain thing. Old school Florida aggro, perfectly fine. Love these cards at 6-top. No issues whatsoever there. Go get a stop because you only got 6 of them, so you better go find them. Work over.
Gets the finish.
Aggro's a finish. Yeah, is work over stop or finish?
I think that's a draw.
Work over. Oh yeah, draw 1 card if your tech skill is greater than your opponent's. Go draw 2.
So it's just a draw 2 on your 6.
I'd
have rather searched out the finish or the stop or.
I on 6-top. Yeah, on 6-top, I always run 2 search for stops because, as we said, they're hella important. I don't want to catch you in Discord with that berry deck. I might. I still got Mimic built. Let's see. Yeah, that I would change to forget what, but definitely like go get a stop or go get a finish. That because I ran Florida aggro on Dosmo and I ran the go get a stop and go get a stop. 7 Kabuki.
I was gonna say the other one, whatever the one is, if your skill's higher, you can play an additional card. I don't mind those either.
Arm lock over the apron, that line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then also with it being a main event match, what's the one that he could increase his agility on breakout roll? Would have also been
Steel
something
chair.
to look at. Yeah.
Or no, steel chairs finishes. I think that's I don't think there's an agility that's plus breakout on that.
Okay.
No, because it's finish rolls for a steel chair, and there's not one.
So when it worked, that's a later number.
That would be the 23. That's like main the main attraction line.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the draw 3.
Which doesn't hit because of how the text works. Because your skill's not increased, your roll's just +1.
Yes, when you roll that. Yeah. All right. So 7, we have Kabuki. Does he have a spotlight?
Can, right?
No. Why? Why Kabuki here, Tim? That's.
I mean, I'm guessing it's to add to his power, but that's right. Kabuki had the power, so he gets a +3 and try to hit the bonus there. But if that's the case, just run the +3 to turn roll.
No, it doesn't add to power. It adds attack, agility, and strike. So you're 8, you're 9, and you're 7. Yeah, but they don't have a spotlight. The turn roll bonuses mainly. All right, so you are going into a 6-stop title match, and 6-stop title matches have been for years now. They have all been main event. If
surprise
you are,
hit, if that's what you're wanting to go for there.
Yeah, I'd rather do the surprise hit, crowd meter 2, and then crowd meter, and then which main event. This match got to crowd meter 4.
Well, it's crowd meter 1 now on the new surprise hit that it's a +3.
Oh, so, even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's a +3 to no matter what. But I think that in any main event match, you need a restoration potion line. And in this case, if you just wanted to swap this card out with something, unacceptable impact, because there's going to be breakouts in a main event unless you're extremely lucky or an unlucky, because of the ability to always break out on your highest.
Or if you're bleeding follow up.
That's true. Yeah, if you're playing against Osmo and I'm a complete asshole and focusing death choke, that's sure. There's going to be breakouts, and you need the ability to get your stops back. And this is a free way to get your stops back. Now, because you didn't have Crime Doesn't Pay, you had to run Flip the Bird and land on generic building blocks. So that's 2 important slots, because 7 through 9 are important cards, even in 6-stop. Those are 2 cards that you had to waste because you didn't run the optimal entrance. And while the bonuses are, okay, whatever, the ability to bury that, I would have probably still run 1 just in case, and the ability to bury the card is neat. But I would have had recursion or
draw,
recursion or draw, or even like the ability like a face stretch or head scratch. So, something that if there was a breakout, you could get cards back. Now 10, 11, 12, you had just straight removal. Cannonball, Ushigoroshi, bite opponent. I do not think that going into this, you should have gone straight removal, because A, your opponent knows that you have a removal gimmick. So he can run cards that just can't be removed from play.
I'd be running at least 2 of the 16 through 18 or 22 through 24. And with it being main event, I would probably have one of my 22 through 24s being the Ace Crusher line. So I've just got a lead follow-up in play that you can't remove.
Yeah, so there's and in 6-stop, that card's always going to hit, because you're not going to spend any stops on anything, and that's why it's like this focus on removal in 6-stop is a strange choice that I would not make, because most of those cards that have hit, like, who cares? Like, yeah, it's like you didn't stop it. Don't go back and remove it now. It's like, and in any of these, you could just draw.
In 6-stop, you don't have enough stops to keep the board clean for you to matter.
It's super hard because of the way 6-stop works. It's super hard to get your opponent limited to only a certain number of cards. In 10, 11, 12, for that reason, I love like the Lucky Looney LARPing, like draw a card for each lead your opponent has in play. Because if they're like, oh, well, I got like 4 leads in play. All right, well, this is a draw 4.
Same thing like the running leg drop line, draw for each strike you have in play, and then bury a card.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the ones that can actually hit more than like a Japanese arm drag.
Yeah, your stuff like that means if your field or your opponent's field is huge, you just drew like a quarter of your deck. It can be massive. I played a Faction Wars match against Brian Lee, and and Trey had told me to put Bridging Sleeper in my deck, and I did, and I hit a I hit a Bridging Sleeper, and for like a draw 5, and I could hear Trey pop, and and Brian had to use an aggressive stop on it because it would have been a draw 5. Let's see. And you're in the super envious position in a 6-stop match. Your 13 through 15 were all live. You lucky fucker.
Still know that I would have played all 3 of them.
I would not. I would definitely not have run. Again, you had to run these suboptimal cards because you had Hammer Block could have just been a draw because I think it's 7 to a 6. Sheep Kneel before my Big American Sledgehammer. You could have had the +1 to turn roll, and then the Stunting Potion. I think Shadow Phoenix. He's Tech 5, so yeah, you could have had Trapped in the Corner, give yourself +1 turn roll, or I'm not big into looking at the hand most of the time. I know it's in your hand anyway, but you could have gotten rid of these only stop a follow up or finish cards and gotten stop any card +1 to your turn roll.
See, I think Trick or Treat would have been real interesting there on 13. That would have given you your second 10.
Yeah, if you wanted to,
and yeah, because
let's see.
With you only having 1 higher and the board set up, I would be increasing my strike playing as Simon.
Yeah.
I would have some way to turn off your 13.
16, Ground and Pound, which is a removal card, I believe, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chicken Wing Wonderplex. Why? Are you that afraid of Apocalypse? Simon Davner is not going to run Apocalypse. Only one damn person I've seen play Apocalypse in a 6-stop match recently was Yasmin against me because I was Dosmo. My first ever title match. One of the smartest women I know. She ran Apocalypse against Dosmo. It worked every damn time, and she won the match. And because it's 6 stops, you have to sacrifice an entire stop that could stop a finish for an Apocalypse, when Simon already told you he's probably going to run Blast into the light tubes. So that's his board clear. So Chicken Wing Wonderplex, and it's like, woo, I drew 1 American card. That's a useless.
If you want to do that, you run the Pineapple Slam, and then that protects you from blasting the light tubes, and you're still drawing your card.
And it's also like it's your most protected too. So that should be Recursion. It should be American Dragon Drop. It should be Spinebreaker. It should. It's like I'm gonna get this. Like for me in 6-stop, if we aren't decked out, I want to get the same finish back 3 times, so I can hit you 3 times in the fucking mouth and knock you out. It's like I want this finish to hit as fast as possible. And a draw 1 just ain't doing it for me. 18. Past your bedtime. Why? Is this agility 9+2, Trey? Or it's agility? I'm pretty sure it's agility +2.
I could look it up. I'm not sure either. I run a lot of finishes, and that's not one of them.
Agility +2 during finish rolls. 9 to an 11, which you don't really need an 11. You could just, because they're going to break out on the top anyway. Mm-hmm. You could save a skill card and just sheep and cat stretch and just increase your agility +1 here and save a whole skill card.
Effectively does the same thing.
Yes.
But now, you get it during turns and not just finishes.
Past your bedtime, the only thing I'll give you a break is if you're running it in a stip match, but the stip is main event, so it does no extra help here. And Tim, I swear to God, we are doing this to help because we want you to win these matches. And I think if you had done, and of course the dice control everything. Like you still have to roll the dice, and Simon could have rolled strike and tech the entire thing, and you won anyway. But this, I believe, like some of these changes would have been able to flip that in your favor. Like that's the thing that I find distressing when I look at a booked match. It's like a couple changes could have tilted everything in your favor. Like that, and it's just like a couple minute changes, like you change that entrance to Crime Doesn't Pay, it changes the entire deck. It makes your entire deck so much easier. It flows so much easier. You have more variety in cards and
So you got 8 different cards that you can change to do something else just because
off the bat.
Your entrance.
Yeah, off the bat, doesn't matter, and you can run way more aggressive cards. Speaking of way more aggressive cards, what the fuck are we doing here? This 19 through 21, Tim. I saw Teaching from the Dark, and I said, "What the fuck are we doing?" Now, first,
to be fair, I looked at it and I said, "Where's the second skill card?"
Somersault Senton. That's choose 2 cards your opponent has in play and discard them. Again, okay. And then Teaching from the Dark, who don't know, is a grapple skill requirement. Choose an opponent. Your opponent discards all follow-ups they have in play. And then your tag team partner chooses an opponent. They also discard all their cards, all their follow-ups they have in play. Now,
so think about this as well. Like, you're getting to the end game. You're just going to end up giving Simon his follow-up stops back.
Yeah, you just gave him your 19 through 21, your 13 through 15 back.
So you're just giving him more ways to stop your finish, and it's just going to end up making it harder for you to win the game.
And Head Scissors, if I believe, is like if stopped, remove a card. Or no, that's Body Scissors. I think Head Scissors is probably another 2 removal. Or no, Head Scissors buries 1 random card in their hand, discard 1 card your opponent has in play. Now, Tim, I know you. I've played against your Flame Fighter deck. Where the fuck is your 7-1-8? Where is your full Nelson? If you have a booked match and you don't need your 19 through 21 and you are in 6 stop and you're not running and you're top 3 statted, you have agility, tech, or power, and you don't have one of these cards, what the fuck are we doing? Because say you do full Nelson. Full Nelson is the one that I would have done for sure. For sure. Because, let's see. Full Nelson will get rid of his strikes in his hand. So any stops for this grapple. So you're already running these cards to increase your power. That's exactly what I said, Brock. That's exactly what I said when I saw this. It's like, you already have a gimmick that, and in 6 stop, this can trigger because of all the turn roll increases way more because there's only 3 less. And it's like, just let that, and that way you can just use your gimmick to just remove the important pieces. Just pop whatever, leapfrog, whatever he has in there. But if you hit full Nelson, and this is a big Zack Sabre Jr., only triggered like twice. Well, I'm not going to say sorry for you rolling too high.
If the gimmick's not going off, you got good cards in you.
Yeah, it's like when Paul plays Kota Ibushi, who I'm playing for the Underworld title in Florida. It's like, oh, shame, I never used my gimmick the entire match. That means he never rolled 5. It's the things like that. But say you hit full Nelson, which we've already think he has 14 and a 26 for. 14 and 26. So he would have to use a big boy stop on full Nelson. So it's look at his hand, get rid of all the strike stops, which would stop grapples, and get a +3 to your turn roll. You can roll 5 to an 8 and win the turn roll and get this double bonuses that you're concerned about. And that's 6 to an 11, 8 to a 10, 6 to a 10. And just because you hit full Nelson. Or you just win the turn roll and you play it, because if you hit full Nelson, that card is free. And same with 7-1-8. If you hit 7-1-8,
right there.
or they have to spectacle, which again they have to blow a spectacle. And the same thing if you ran 7-1-8 with whatever sub, it's like even if he runs Sweeping Slam, if he's afraid of Sharpshooter, I guarantee you he didn't run Sweeping Slam because Simon's not that damn smart. I didn't watch it. If he ran Sweeping Slam, Let me know. I bet he ran Taunting Impact. But if you just do 718 into Sharpshooter or Carter Clutch or Downriver Lock, and those are my two skill cards in this deck would definitely be Full Nelson and 718. And I would just hammer him with those, and so much to the fact where I might do a belly to belly on 8 to pick up a follow up. So if he got aggressive and stopped it, I would just pick it back up and punch him again in the throat. Or after a breakout, I play belly to belly, I pick up Full Nelson and just hit him again. Harder, harder. Just keep hammering the same thing over and over again. So this 19 through 21 is the first one I was like, buddy. Muay Thai strikes, I really have no issues with. I mean, you typically want more than one. Simon, did you run Taunting Impact? Or did you run Sweeping Slam? What'd you run? I want to know. I want to know what he ran. I don't believe it. I
want to know what his 2 was.
Which, hey, I do not blame you, Simon. Taunting Impact is is like the smart play. It's not what and it's like, because it has a good if stopped effect. But it's like Simon, if you would have thought, and it's like Simon, if you would have thought he would do Crime Doesn't Pay and then did Sharpshooter and you predicted it and did Sweeping Slam, I would be the first one to applaud, bro. I swear to God, because I love catching people with that is adrenaline in my veins, bro. I love it. I caught Horse with a universal drop kick on crowd meter 3 and killed him, and it was one of the best moments of my life. So, but that line is fun as hell as if you hit, and plus in 6-top, you're only using those as stop finishes anyway. Who cares if it could stop a follow up? The Muay Thai strikes, I love this in general in a lot of decks because I run Jackhammer a lot or Neck Vice. It's remove 1, shuffle 2 in, draw 1. I do not feel like grapple potion number 2. Yeah, that's fine.
Good call.
Reduces grapple. That's definitely a fine choice.
That's probably what I did in this matchup. I just didn't know if he still Piglet's homework.
Oh boy. But on this, I probably would have, again, as Brock said, you let the gimmick do the work. I don't know. I would have cared. I would have done bury 3, get the top and bottom, or even, God forbid, a lariat, splash into the corner if I have to avoid.
I mean, I would have probably had a search for finish and a draw 3 there, and then the other one is recursion.
Yes, the 23 is running set up the steel chair here. You're both agility 9. Why are you helping him? This could have definitely been diving takedown, and you would have been perfectly fine. Because he can't run alien on you unless he increases to his 10. You both ran set up the steel chair. You
could have went back by the rack. Back from the brink.
Yeah, you could have gone back from the brink here too, and gone and got sub stops and your grapple finish. But that's fucking funny. That you both ran it. Did you have it in play at the same time and just had 11s? That would have been hilarious. But I would have. It's hard. I don't own that card that Trey talked about earlier, the draw 3 agility +1 on breakouts. But that
wouldn't actually end up working on this. But I would have increased my agility on the 13 and maybe the 16 as well. Is how I would have worked that.
I would have replaced it on this 18. I would have done the Lucky Cat. On one of those, right? Yeah. And then, but Ultra Cosmic Death Clutch, they're okay. I typically I do the Avalanche Driver, bury 3, get the top and bottom, because Ultra Cosmic Death Clutch, if I'm playing it, I definitely want to get something back. So the ability to get the card that I want immediately is why I love those cards. Gamers. 25, swinging double axe handle. Should have been boss beats. No, it shouldn't have. It should have been swinging double axe handle. This is what I agree with.
I mean,
Don't change that.
there's also the other thought. You're in a main event match. You can go a little aggressive here if you wanted to. You've got the backlash line.
Oh yeah, which I do in Dosmodius. I run
Mhm.
all of the. I run all. Yeah, if you lose crowd meter 0 in a main event,
Which
hang it
I
up.
did.
Which has
recently.
happened. Which has happened. I and Simon, I knew you were going to run a DQ 22. Like you let that hit. Like who cares? The Vile driver, I said it's like you change it to crime doesn't pay, and you tell them to eat shit.
Roll it.
Yeah, roll it up. It's a blank finish, dummy. Let's see, taunting
Or
impacts.
maybe that's where you catch him with the universal drop kick.
Or that's exactly. I would see that's what I would have ran universal dropkick and crime doesn't pay. It's and probably I would have ran umbrella hold here too. So if he ran generics, I'm a bust your ass, boy. No if stop DQ anyway. And then taunting impact suplex, you could have done get that out of here or alpaca slam to search for a grapple. 27, same thing. Either if you try for the umbrella hold or you go for the what's it called? Get that out of here. Or fixes in. You could top deck full Nelson or your finish sub, something like that. And then all your finishes are fine. The sub I definitely would have changed if you were doing crime doesn't pay. Frog splash. I figured frog splash is like the go-to for Shadow Phoenix. Definitely.
We didn't copy Pickle's homework.
No. Yeah.
No frog slime potions.
No frog slime potion. Now that was the crazy one. It's like, hey man, it's like you know the deal. Yeah, but Tim, these are the changes. Like, definitely, you see how one entrance change affects your entire deck, and because you no longer have to be afraid of anything that any DQ finish, like the chair shot or blast into the light tubes and 6-stop. Take the hit, man. Who cares? And it's like and chair shot, he'll discard a stop, in which case you hope to win the next turn roll and can try and get that back, or it's main event. Take it. Yeah, I'll edit it to what we would have changed it. I got away from actually changing it in there, but I'll definitely do that. But it's things like that. And
sorry, the main thing when we first looked at it is the deck just looked slow for 6-stop because you had all the removal and you had no way to thin your deck, and you don't have searchers to go out and get important stuff other than the set up the steel chair.
And that's what Tim said. Tim said like he was just never able to get those stops back, and that's because you don't have anything to get them back. Like that's why you have to spend whole turns playing pass and bury rather than playing, hey, I'm going to shuffle 3 cards in, or hey, I'm going to bury 3, get the top and bottom, things like that. Like it's just slow, and if you're not decked out, and Simon is, which I know how Simon plays, he does draw. He'll do decent amount of, like, he'll do a lariat, he'll maybe a nerve hold, which are good cards, and like Simon's not an idiot. Yes, I do. If you missed it earlier, I did praise you as well. Yeah, like he's not going to play stupid things. And that's why it's like, yeah, he ran the correct number 2 to play against you. 13 and 25. Yeah, it's because you needed more draw, or you needed searchers. You needed something to get those cards out. Might not check for stops. No, not checking for stops is a Simple Chuck thing. Simple Chuck, notably in Faction Wars. Oh, oh, damn it! Kang had to burst your bubble. I'm sorry, Simon. Yeah, Simon. Unfortunately, in what should have been botch of the year, he was even a proponent for it because he knows it was a fuck up. Which, hey,
no. Botching winning the last chibi event of the year was definitely bigger.
Yeah, botching winning the last chibi event of 2024.
One of 50, 150. How many numbers he ran?
What a bum. He botched. Who the fuck? Still crazy nomination for me. But Tim, that it's like change those things around, and I know your guys ROCW has some 6-stop chances coming up, so try and this way they can learn from your issues and adapt from that.
Like we were saying earlier, you learn more from mistakes. So
exactly, and that's what this is. Like unfortunately, this is a after the thing, after a loss. So this is prime example of, hey, I probably should have done this.
Yeah, you can go in there and you can see which cards didn't work, and then for the future, we ain't running these.
All right, and 0-win champion, of course. Unfortunately, Jokerfish V2 and Merlin von Berliner in the next comps in line. Hey, tell Jokerfish V2 he can definitely run Phil Nelson in 718. All right, I think that Simon should expect that.
Have fun.
Have fun. Yeah. 0-win champion. Unfortunately, yes, 0 wins in the 6-stop title. Which, hey, Tim, I've lost a 6-stop title before. I'll never get another 6-stop title shot. So you go ahead. All right. So what I wanted to talk about in the last couple minutes, because we know that our support in the back is about to have to run to go watch AEW. I want to hear from you guys. If there is either a deck you would like us to build or a deck that, let's see, I'm trying to think, do I have I think I do have an old Gmail account I could use for this and just change it to stacked card. A deck you would like us to build or something you would like help with and be willing to have it talked about on the show is the thing. Or something it's like, hey, I've been struggling with this. If there is a way that you could help streamline, but something like that.
You got a big picture of Gmail for us.
Big picture premium at gmail.com. There we go. Oh my God, Paul. All right. So the last couple minutes we're going to use entrances and title matches. What the fuck are you guys doing? First, so Tim's Crime Doesn't Pay. We've already covered that. I see Champion of Kickstarter used the title matches. Dumb
enough. We're gonna be having.
Dumb as fuck. Caught crazy. It's like even people who are hella caught crazy, like Brian Lee, says you should do that. Oh, perfect. There's always jumps the bell. I'd rather jumps the bell, man, because a lot of GMs will just let it ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Schmidt.
If you're going to be running Champion of Kickstarter, have a reason for it, other than I want an extra card. Because Schmidt, if that's the case, Back from the Brack's going to give you a card at a more impactful time.
Yeah.
Floats is going to give you 2 cards when you weren't going to get them. Like, there's other options to get you a card.
Yeah, if they got a spotlight, use Impact as family. Blank a finish. Make them run a generic. If you think they're going to run a generic, like there's a trios title match recently where the guy is going to use Impact Bomb, and guy ran fucking Stand for the National Anthem, and he was going up against a draw deck. No. The Simon. Ronnie using Stand for National Anthem as a draw deck against a draw deck when he knows that his opponent's going to run Impact Bomb. That's a bad idea. There's a finish that there's a card that just says you can stop Impact Bomb for free and draw a card. Which would you rather have in an impactful moment if you know you're weak to Impact Bomb? All right, so I saw that and I said, Rowdy Ron, I love you. You need a coach. Yeah, Nemesis is the one I'm talking about. Only had ever. I'm glad you bring that up, Cannoli. More people listen to my advice, more champions listen to my advice than have ever listened to you in your entire fucking life. People still message me for advice, champions, and people asking for advice. So that's why I'm here and you're not. Yeah, that's why. Yes, lol, okay. Hey, man, I didn't bring you up. You brought me up. All right. Let's see. I haven't been around. Yeah, man, that's not my fault either. You came here. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I believe it or not, I had no issues with you. Cannoli, you're the one who came here and said that. Oh my god. Let's see. All right, what are the next couple? You just said we're listening to this guy when we only have one title belt. I don't know what part of that is a joke, but you're known well for your jokes. Barry Rising Sun next week.
We're burying Brock's Rising Sun. Is that what I'm hearing?
It may be. On OG, wait for it. I would have loved your character if I think there was just a little bit better finishes, I think. Oh my god. Yeah. Now I want to look at OG wait for it because I have before.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
Not Chopper. There we go. Follow up or finish without a lead in play, which is just an annoying gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Can he kill? Not really. I guess it would have to be the follow-up finish strike, which now there's a counter to that, unfortunately. But stat-wise, 7 to a 9, 6 to an 8 is all right.
I mean, you could do the lightning leg drop, run a skill card there.
Yeah, you could
9 to a 10, and then +2 if you're on your 5 or 6.
Yeah, +2 at the bottom too. Love that. I've done that in Mimic before. The Royal Ramble roll, 5 to a 7, 9 to a 10. Again, you got 2 10s. Could be worse. And then shuffle one, draw one's not the worst. +1 tech, +3 grapple. First breakout roll -1 for every 2 follow-ups. 2 breakout rolls. Big fudge lock. 9, 9, 10, 7. 5 to a 7's tough. No follow-ups in play. Your opponent gets 2. Oh boy! Not the big bold letters.
I ain't worried about the sub anyway with that stat line.
No, not really. 14 ways.
7-5.
I keep forgetting that this isn't actually a wait for a finish, not a consigliere finish. I mean, I think it's still not great. It's a 10 to a 14, and then 6 to a 7, 5 to a 7. Gross. Yeah, I think lightning or moonsault leg drop is what it is.
Moonsault.
Yeah, 9 to a 10 sharpshooter effect on the bottom 2, draw a card, or frog splash. Hell, frog splash not bad either.
Whichever one your preferences on those.
Yeah. Oh damn it! You're gonna make me buy and play wait for it, aren't you? Which is funny. Your Consigliere got drafted in Faction Wars and never played a game. Did not. I don't think Big Guy ever got to play a singles game because they won handedly in the first round, and then just it was over by the time he could play a singles match. And we were all like, "Damn, we got to." Trey had to play Consigliere in a match.
Not until I had to.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, we were waiting to play Consigliere. I think Dan and Big Guy tried to link up, but it was over by the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was in there, Cannoli. The most notable thing that I still laugh about that you gave me was Man Thunder. Just a misprinted Kid Thunder that was Man Thunder on both sides. Consig's good. Consigliere is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unfortunately, he kind of has the same issue with finishes because he's similar stats. But if your entire opponent's hand is buried, then who cares?
The fact that they're going to have to walk through one of them.
Yeah, and let's see. There are some competitors. Some things like I'll occasionally like wake up in the middle of the night and come up with some random ass competitor to play. Like that's where the whole Spencer Vance came from. Let's see, because let's see. Look at this strapping young hardcore champion right here. So when you hit a card with drop in the name, your opponent buries one card. Notice it does not say on your turn. That's the hardest part for opponents because there are so many stops with drop. And started playing this guy, and he has a DQ finish, but easily no DQ. And this is a code red. This is 7 to a 9, 5 to a 9. That is DQ, but you can make it no DQ. It's sick. Yeah, if there's only some way to handle this grapple finish, that is 6 to an 8, 9 to a 10. You may discard this card from your hand to add one other Boatsman Swain's Spencer Vance finish from discard pile to your hand. The amount of times I have thrown this finish grapple into the discard pile, and people are just like, so that's just a thing you can do, huh? They're just like so upset that this is an effect that exists in this game. Yeah, but Boatswain.
Yeah, Impact's family had to come back over crime doesn't pay.
And that's the thing. His effect is only in hand, or its effect is only in hand. So Roaring Elbow, that line doesn't. Kabuki doesn't do anything to it. It is only Impact his family that can handle it. Boatswain's not. This thing is good. 8 to a 10. Crowd meter 2, your opponent gets 2 breakout rolls. 3 or 4, they get 1. Crowd meter 5, your opponent can't break out. I run Earthquake hold on them and say, F around and find out. It's crowd meter 1, circle. It's crowd meter 3, you dead. No matter what. And the hitting, you do not know someone's pain until you are playing Spencer Vance, turn 1, sweet and salty impact drop. Your opponent buries 3 cards in their hand. It is the rudest. It is the rudest thing in the world. Your whole ass hand. Actually, if you're running Champion of Kickstarter, you still got 1 left. but
it's really rude, when you botch the finish roll and then you pick back up that sweet and salty and you hit them with it, 2 more times that match. That's really rude.
Trey experienced that. He was just he was looking at me. I could just tell he was pissed. He got hit with sweet and salty 3 times. Every time it's just bury 3. Actually, it's worse if it's high crowd meter. It's bury 4.
Never got to forehand.
Never got to four cards in hand. And because they Jeremy Steigerwald says stand for your national anthem. You can't spectacle either. It's one of my favorite decks that I've ever built out of nowhere. And thank you, Mark Perry, for doing all of the work of having drops made everywhere. It's so good. Meeple and I appreciate you. I would share the Spencer Vance deck list, but Horse may actually drive down from Queens to hurt me. But the things like that. So Trey recently won locals with Ruby Renegade, which if you don't know what Ruby Renegade does, be prepared to be annoyed by proxy, and that's what we all felt. Once in your turn, when you hit a card with chicken wing or elbow in the play or in the name, shuffle one card into your deck and draw one card. That's okay. That's
It's only on your
decent.
turn.
Only on your turn. Decent enough gimmick. You know what I'm saying? Here's the kicker. Your tech 10 sub 7. Here's a finish that's 8 to a 9, 6 to an 8. If you have an elbow name in play, this card can only be stopped by a follow-up. So they got to be sub 8 or higher, or you have to have a strike in play to be able to stop this finish.
And, luckily this new Grand Pack Wave 2 that came out, there's a nice number 6 that's a keyword that goes and rips a follow-up sub from their hand.
Yeah, I had to stop that in our triad. It's like, and then the sub is just fine.
That can't be stopped by skill stuff, so it's really nice, all these Colossal Smashers that have no response to it.
Yep. It is disgusting, yeah. Finish sub, my brutality is 8 to a 10, 7 to a 9, 5 to a 9. If you have a card with elbow and chicken wing in play, double these bonuses. And that count stops. So that's crazy. Then the finish grapple, you draw for your gimmick. You can discard one card to draw an additional card. So it's just more filtering. It's like, this card's useless. I'll just discard a card and draw an additional one.
She can also run other finishes too.
Oh, Ember Wolf. Ember Wolf gets
that Wolfgang clutch.
Oh God! If you have a chicken wing in play, it's a press slam.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it's a berry. Press slam. Oh God! And it's 7 to a 9, 5 to a 6. This is the thing. Look at all of the finishes that you can run, and just try and find the ones that will annoy your opponent the most, or have biggest numbies. That's most of what a book match or building a deck is. What finish do you like? I'll end it on an anecdote. So I played Split V1 in Faction Wars last year, and this was still where you played strike against strike, right? But most of the time, I want to hit this bonk because it's 9 to a 10, 8 to a 9, 7 to a 9, and then a good secondary effect. It's awesome. The finish grapple and all of his stuff is just top boosting. Like this is one of the worst finishes I've ever seen. Plus 2 to the 5, plus 1 to the 6. If stopped, bury this card and randomly bury a card in your hand. This is one of the worst strike finishes I've ever seen in my life. And that's why Steve was very nice and gave him bonk. And it can always still hear. It can only let me borrow this until I got my own. Borrowed it for Faction Wars. I ran through bonk. And I hit people over and over again. And in our Final Four match against Just Business, which we ended up losing, but against Ryan Pierce, he was playing Mastermind. So the stats are 8 to a 6. Yeah. So I'm screwed everywhere except for subs. So I can't focus bonk because he's got tech over me. I can't focus grapples because he's got agility. The only thing I've got on him are subs. But the thing that I bring this up about it being book matches, Calais says that there's going to be a pool of like a dozen stips. And it's going to be one of these random stips in all the different pools. And I do not have a live 15. And the scariest part about Mastermind is Shane Strickland's finish, the Beaumaye. It is so strong. It is 7 to a 9, 6 to a 9, 9 to a 10 on Mastermind. It is so strong. And I took a gamble on my 15. I didn't run a stop. I ran a stop. I ran wrapped in the steel chain because let's see. I knew there were 3. Let's see. Oh, it's wrap, isn't it? Yeah. I ran wrap in the steel chain. because there were 3 of the like dozen matches that had chain in the name: Beast Unchained, Tables, Ladders, and Chains, and then Steel Chain match. And the match that I got against Ryan Pierce was a Steel Chain match. And so we start playing, and he says, I don't have a chain in my deck. And I was like, Ryan, you're never going to believe this. And I searched my deck for wrapping the steel chains, and he was like, are you fucking kidding me? And he tells John Polverino, and John P is so pissed. He thinks that he's being screwed. He thinks that Calais has told us the steps. He's furious, and I explain the numbers, and it's like, well, it makes sense with like because my 15's dead, and eventually Bob and Kirk Folko, like, it's like, no, it makes sense. But just his reaction is like, this is my Rising Stars coach. He didn't believe me. It's the called shots like that in booked matches are one of my favorite things about this game. It's like when you hit something like at random, it's like this could be a possibility. You feel great about it. Oh my god! But I think that'll wrap it up for us tonight. If you have any suggestions about stuff you want us to cover, whether it's specific entrances or cards and book matches, hit us up at the email address. Let's see. We're going to go raid Johnny Wrestling. Nice. The email address he had up there. Let's say, yeah. bigpicturepremium@gmail.com, and there we go. They'll let us know, and we will try. And I don't know when next week. We'll have to look at Trey's schedule. Trey's schedule changes way more than mine, so it's dependent on him for whenever.
It might be after the CAC for the next one.
It might be after the CAC. Yeah, he and I will be going to Florida for Sunshine Smackdown, and we'll see some of you there. But thank you very much for hanging out with us. Hope we entertained you, maybe helped you out a little bit. If not, then let us know what we can change. 30 seconds. I got to kill 30 seconds now. Run, dun, 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 dun. Let's go to jerkmate.com. No. Let's see. Oh, here's your card for Sunshine.